When I first read her message, it barely registered. Crashing at a friend's place. Don't wait up. It was 11:47 p.m. A time when texts like that feel ordinary, harmless even. I typed back a simple no problem, then stared at the screen longer than I should have. Something about the way she'd written it didn't sit right. Too smooth. Too careful. I told myself I was overthinking, set my phone down, and tried to shake it off. But lately, Emma had felt far away. Not in the physical sense, she was still there beside me. But emotionally, she seemed to have drifted somewhere I couldn't follow. We still had our routines. We talked, we laughed, we pretended things were fine. Yet, underneath it all, something was missing. The space between us had grown quiet, unfamiliar. Her smiles didn't linger anymore. I kept trying to rationalize it. Maybe she was tired. Maybe I was. Relationships change, right? Still, lying there in the dim light with only the ceiling fan humming above me, I couldn't shake the weight in my chest. I scrolled through old photos, vacations, birthdays, little moments that used to mean everything. Back then, we felt real. We were real. But now, it was like watching someone else's life. I kept wondering when it started to fade, and if I'd simply stopped noticing. Morning came too bright, too calm. Sunlight sliced through the blinds, illuminating the untouched side of the bed. Her text from the night before still sat there, unread again and again. No follow-up. No good morning. Just silence. I made coffee, kept glancing at the door, expecting it to open any second. An hour passed. Then 2. Then 4. The unease that had been quietly coiled inside me began to move. I called. Nothing. Texted. No reply. That was when something inside me went still. Not panic. Not anger. Just an empty, heavy quiet. By noon, she finally came home. Her hair was messy, sunglasses hiding her eyes, phone gripped tight in her hand. She kissed me lightly on the cheek, mechanical, detached, and said, "Morning," before disappearing into the shower. I didn't say a word. I just watched her move through the room like a stranger who'd learned all my wife's habits. No confrontation, no questions, just observation. The way she avoided my gaze. The way her voice trembled under the weight of something unspoken. I wanted to ask where she'd really been, but I didn't. Because I already knew the story she'd tell. The kind that sounds practiced, polished, almost believable. A lie wrapped in familiarity. So instead, I said nothing at all. I nodded and said softly, "You must be tired." She paused for a heartbeat, like my words carried a meaning she hadn't prepared for. Then she gave a faint smile and slipped away into the bathroom. The sound of running water echoed through the house, but beneath it, all I could hear was the quiet breaking of my own heart. I didn't speak for the rest of the day, not because I had nothing to say, but because the words felt empty. They couldn't mend what had been cracking between us long before that moment. By evening, I decided to step outside. The streets were still, the air crisp with the first breath of autumn. Every step felt heavier than the last, burdened by all the things I'd never said. When I came back, she was sitting on the couch, phone in hand, scrolling absently. I sat across from her without a word. She looked up, maybe expecting anger, or tears, or a desperate attempt to make sense of it all. But I offered none of that. Just silence, steady, composed, unyielding. The kind of silence that doesn't demand understanding or forgiveness. She shifted in her seat, unsettled by the realization that her casual betrayal had cost more than she imagined. It wasn't anger she faced, it was indifference wrapped in self-respect. I stood, set my keys on the counter, and said simply, "I'm going out." She didn't ask where. Didn't move. Just watched, caught between confusion and guilt. And in that stillness, I knew something had changed forever. There was no dramatic ending, no argument to mark the break, just a quiet decision to choose myself over the mess she had made. That night, I slept easily for the first time in weeks. No more waiting, no more guessing. Regret might find her eventually, maybe when the noise fades and the loneliness settles in. But for me, there was only calm, earned, quiet, and deeply mine. In that silence, I found something I hadn't felt in far too long. Peace.